Hey, welcome back. It's your boy Will J. Let's get into some deck brewing shenanigans. Streets of New Capenna is just around the corner, and so today we're going to be doing something a little different. While I usually feature builds that I've piloted and tweaked from real game experience, I'm going to be making this video with new commanders that I haven't played yet. So yeah, let's see how this goes. Our featured commander is Anhelo the Painter, a 3-mana value 1/3 legendary vampire assassin with Death Touch. With Anhelo, the first instant or sorcery spell we cast each turn has Casualty 2. Casualty is a new keyword in New Capenna, and it means if we sack a creature with power 2 or greater, we then copy that first spell that we cast and we can choose new targets if ever. So Grixis is home to some big haymakers, and being able to copy that from the command zone is a scary proposition. Anhelo already looks like a candidate for being able to do broken things, and while the most broken of all things to do would probably be copying extra turn spells, we aren't going to cover that here. Instead, the theme we're going to be running is an archetype I call Burgers and Fries. We'll cover our usual sub-themes of ramp, removal, and draw, but afterwards we'll also go over card choices for copy, burgers, fries, and something we like to call UBP or utilities, bombs, and pets. Ramp is going to be very important for us because we're going to want to play big spells. Bring your soul rings, your talismans, your signets, and all this, but after that, Thought Vessel, while not an auto-include for me in every deck, in this deck we're going to be wanting to draw a lot. Carmela Glamour Thief is a new mana dork that helps us cast instants and sorceries and can be a casualty later on if we need it. Grixis also has access to Burst Ramp or Rituals, and Jessica's Will, Mana Geyser, and Rousing Refrain all help us get that boost for that explosive turn. I'd also look at mana reducers like Goblin Electromancer, Vadrik Astral Archmage, and Rowan Scholar of Sparks. These reduce the cost of our instants and sorceries, and I like the latter two in particular because they have an extra upside outside of just reducing the costs. Lastly, Stormkiln Artist makes us treasures when we cast or copy instants or sorceries, while Brass's Bounty can also make us a ton of treasure slate, particularly if this is doubled. We won't be bringing much removal to the table, but sweepers are always necessary. Vandal Blast sweeps artifacts, and Blasphemous Axe sweeps away creatures. We do want to bring counter spells though, just in case we need to fight on the stack. It depends on the budget that you have, and generally, the lower the mana value, the better. I do want to highlight Narset's Reversal, which has the flexibility of being a spell doubler as well as a counter. And I also recommend Spiketail Drakeling. It gives us some flexibility in acting as an onboard counter spell, or later on as a casualty for Anhelo in case we need it. Drawing is going to be key for us to always have enough gas and ramp. I don't run tutors in this build, but that's really a personal choice. However, I do run a couple of wheels in Windfall and Echo of Eons for that burst draw. Ponder and Preordain are low mana value cards that draw at a great rate, and I also recommend running Ingenious Mastery, which lets us draw 3 for 3, and sure, it helps somebody out, but you probably want those 3 cards. Deep Analysis is another fair draw spell, which we can flash back for later, and Treasure Cruise is a good card for making sure we have gas in the late part of the game. Looting or Rummaging is also a decent option, and Seize the Spoils, Pull from Tomorrow, and Deadly Dispute lets us get big spells in the graveyard if we need them there. I also like Cathartic Pyre as it can be removal or a rummage spell depending on the situation we're in. Anhelo can already copy spells on his own. However, we are gonna want to give him some backup. Twinning Staff doubles the output of Anhelo and can copy spells in a pinch, while Kest Dissident Mage lets us play our spells again from the graveyard, and given how it's worded, since we're casting it, triggers Anhelo's ability too. Maestro's Ascendancy is the enchantment version of Kest, and it also lets us play our spells again with the cost of sacrificing a creature. God Eternal Kefnet gives us a copy of a spell off the top of our library at a discounted rate, but for outright copies though, Ral Storm Conduit has a -2 ability that lets us copy spells. Swarm Intelligence is an enchantment that copies every spell we play. And Jin Gitaxia's Progress Tyrant is a bomb of a creature that furthers our game plan and also severely hinders our opponents. Arcane Bombardment is a new card from New Capenna, and it sounds like a powerhouse. I haven't played with it yet, but it seems like the ultimate snowball card. It lets you exile instants and sorceries that are just chilling in your graveyard, and lets you cast them for free over and over again. But what are these instants and sorceries we're looking to copy? Here come the burgers. They are the heavy hitters of this deck, the haymakers. These are the cards we came here to play. And while they are strong on their own, they become larger than life when we upsize them with Anhelo's ability. Army of the Damned will let us flood the board with zombies, and if copied, gives us 26 zombies. And that's not even counting yet the flashback. Now if someone has an even scarier board state than that, then Clone Legion lets us double up on their army, provided we copy it. Blatant Thievery is a card that lets us steal a bunch of key permanents from each of our opponents, while Fevered Suspicion lets us steal from the top of their libraries. The Rebound Claw should also work with Anhelo, and so you can actually get a total of 4 copies on the stack with Anhelo alone. A backbreaker of a card is Aminatu's Augury, which exiles the top 8 cards of our library and lets us play a card of each type without paying for their mana costs, plus netting a land each time. For game enders, Crackle with Power and Torment of Hailfire, especially multiple copies of them, are a couple of burgers that can end the game on the spot. But why did I call these burgers and not just haymakers or bombs or something? Well, because if you order a burger, you're gonna want some fries with that. Fries aren't gonna be the reason why you buy a meal, but you're always glad that they're there. They're extra payoffs for when we play our giant burgers. To illustrate what I mean, Shark Typhoon, Metallurgic Summonings, and Dika are all terrific fries cards. When we play our high mana value burgers, these cards are gonna give us some really beefy tokens on the side. Again, the primary game plan is to make huge plays from our burger cards, but these fries are gonna be the incidental benefits that'll help us close out the game. Manaform Hellkite does something similar, although the Exile clause means it only gives us a temporary attacker or flash blocker. Zafai Thunder Conductor has a similar ability too, except instead of basing the creature size on mana value, he's likely gonna give us 4/4s instead. Medium fries, if you will. Serving the small fries are Tyrant Sky Summoner and Puppet Stitcher. For each instant or sorcery, we only get a 2/2. That's decent and can definitely be used as a casualty later on, but you know, it's small. This is actually why I didn't include cards like Young Pyromancer or Sedgemoor Witch, because the small fries they make can't be used as casualties later on, and because we're not storming off, we can't really flood the board with them. Rounding this list out, I also included Jadar Ghoul Caller of Nephalia. While not dependent on instants or sorceries, he is able to make enough 2-power creatures to get Anhelo online consistently. For UBP, we're gonna want ways to plug up the holes of our game plan. Propaganda keeps us alive long enough to ramp and get our engines online. Leyline of Anticipation lets us play at instant speed, and to note, Anhelo gives casualty to our first instant or sorcery for each turn. While we likely won't have enough mana to keep abusing our spells, I mean, again, we're not a deck that storms off, even just letting us play Anhelo at the end of someone else's turn saves us some mana that we might need once we untap to take a big turn. Running Leer and Malevolent Hermit makes sure our spells make it through the stack. And an underrated card that works well in a deck with bombs like this is Creative Technique. It lets us play spells for free, and in concept, we should be getting some good hits off the top. Some utility cards that are just useful is Rakdos Charm for Graveyard Hate, and Fable of the Mirror Breaker. It's a card that nets us treasures, it lets us rummage, and even if we're running a lot of legendaries, this still gives us copies of creatures for casualty fodder. While I didn't go over every card in the deck, just know that you can always plug in staples like Soul Ring, Psych Rift, or whatever else is in your collection. I made a deck list of this Anhelo build, which I'll be posting in the description below, but this build clocks in at 14 ramp spell, 7 removal, 11 draw, 8 copy, 8 burgers, 8 fries, 7 UBP, and 36 lands. And that does it for this episode. Hopefully you found this useful. I didn't opt for the most competitive or tuned way of brewing this deck, but what we're really going for is one that plays with synergy, has some interaction, and is hopefully a deck that will win you games while also making it a fun experience for your friends. If you like this playstyle or this EDH philosophy, then please leave a like or a comment and make sure to subscribe. It really helps out. I also have a Moxfield account, also called Frenchman Ties, so you can follow me there too. So until next time, see ya pals.